Welcome to You're Going to Be Great at This, the podcast where we help entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, small business owners, sales professionals, and other self-employed folks turn prospects into customers and grow their businesses. We deliver practical tips and tricks with plenty of humor and dumb stories to keep things fun. I'm your host, Chris Costanis, so let's get going and make your business thrive. Hey everybody, welcome to the You're Going to Be Great at This podcast, sponsored by Surf Financial Brokers, your friends with living benefits. And today, we've got a great guest on here. This is something I've been wanting to discuss for a long time here. I've got a young man, his name is Ken Miller. Ken is a seasoned entrepreneur. He's the president of Denali FSP Fundraising and Grant Consultants. He's also the CEO and co-founder of AIV Evaluation. I don't know if I said that correct, but he uses artificial intelligence to improve operational efficiency and strategic growth for organizations nationwide. Hey, Ken, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fantastic on this Friday morning.
It's a Friday morning for those of you who may be listening to this somewhere down the road. We're getting through it. It's been a long week. How about you? You been having a good week?
I've had a great week.
It's been a great week. It's just been very, very, I don't know, it's like a slog for me, but I don't know. I think it's the weather. Ken, just for our listeners, just tell us a little bit, 2 sentences, a little bit about what you're doing and how you got to where you are now. And in 10 words or less. No, I'm just messing with you.
Okay, I was going to say, that's going to be a tough one. Go to ChatGPT for that for a summary. But yeah, my thing is I'm what they would call serial entrepreneur. I've started 3 or 4 different companies. I've grown them, and I started my first company in 2014, and my latest company was last year, and I'm looking at possibly doing another one here soon. But anyway, so I start companies and things that are passionate to me or things that I enjoy, and I've been quite successful doing that.
Well, good. Well, good. And I did want to ask you a little bit here because we touched on it. As a serial entrepreneur, I'm going to assume that you've been scaling businesses for a while. And I was going to ask you to give our listeners, all 12 of them, we have dozens of listeners all around the world, as we say. But we want to talk about scaling businesses. As far as if you've got a small business and you want to grow that business, now, not everybody's going to be in that boat. Some people want to keep it manageable where they can control it. But give us a couple of things that you could do to scale a small business.
Well, 2 things. First of all, it's just defining what is manageable. So what is manageable for most people is they can do something up to maybe $250,000, maybe even $500,000 as an individual. And then at some point you have to outsource capabilities of that company, whether it's financial, marketing, different areas. So one of the things that I have always taught, and I don't say always, I learned and then taught, is to have virtual assistants, or just call them admin assistants, whether they're onshore or offshore. And then also today with AI, it's been phenomenal. So those are the 2 areas that I talk about force multiplication of your business. And so you can be a solopreneur or a small company, let's say 1 to 4 employees, and still be able to run $1 million, $2 million dollar company. I'm talking about income coming in.
And I'm assuming that the whole point of outsourcing this through VA is so you're not having to keep people on payroll who you can use them when you need them, but when you don't need them, you're not having to burn that payroll. Is that correct?
That is part of it. There's some financial, without going into the tax system, going with a 1099 employee instead of an employee as a W-2, which is called a wage employee. There are benefits on both sides, but without going into that, the ability to have a virtual assistant or an assistant is that it gives you the ability to hire and fire very quickly. It's not even firing, it's just the contract has ended. It also gives you the ability to do it at a rate that is so much less than what we've been able to do in the past. So let me just give you an example. If I was to go to Indeed or Upwork and ask for a assistant, it would run me anywhere between $20 to $25 an hour. I can go offshore, speaks English, works very, very hard, can do the same capabilities with one caveat, we'll go to, for $6 an hour, $8 an hour, $4 an hour, depending on who you work with and how you work with that virtual assistant. Most of them in the offshore. So you have onshore, which is your Indeed, your Upwork, and then you have offshore, which is multiple companies, predominantly in the Philippines. That's like the number one country for offshore virtual assistants. Probably number two would be India, Bangladesh, and then other countries. Eastern Europe was very popular at one point. But anyway, I've been working with them. I started off about $4 an hour working with them. And then you can also, make it either task-based or you can make it hourly based. And so what I tell most people, and I recommend this to people or they use my company, is go with 10 hours. Try it for 10 hours. 6 hours, $6 an hour, $60. And that individual can do your social media, all your marketing. A person can do, depending on what your capabilities and what you want to do and what you want to outsource, they can do your financials. I have them in my bank account. So I work with them, but I've been doing this for a while, so I'm very, very good at that. They can do your outbound calling. They can do your inbound calling if you have calls coming in for questions. Because in the end, there's only certain things that you can do as a business owner, and you have to be able to have time, which is a part of your capacity, to be able to do that. Let me just talk about that real quick. Capacity only consists of two things: time and money, time and money, time and money. So dear listener, I want you to think about, where is my time and money going? So if I can outsource something at $6 an hour, my rate is $300 an hour for what I do. I am a very, very good, or my companies are very, very good in grant writing large federal multi-million-dollar grants. I'm $300 an hour. What am I doing? Something that can be done for $6 an hour. And I was. So that's one aspect, and then there's the whole aspect of AI, which is
Let's come back. Let's get in a note from our sponsor, and then we'll talk about the AI when we come back. Hey everybody, this is Chris, and if you are self-employed like me, then you probably don't have access to group benefits. And if that's the case, look up Surf Financial Brokers on the web at surffinancialbrokers.com. They have a full suite of benefits available: dental, vision, disability insurance, life insurance, all kinds of things that can help you protect you, your family, and your business. surffinancialbrokers.com, your friends with living benefits. Now let's get back to the rest of our show. And we're back. And we're talking with Ken Miller here, and he's telling us a little bit about scaling your business if you're a small business owner. We just covered some VA things, and I wanted to throw in a little story there. I don't know if you can see over my shoulder here. For those of you who are driving, don't look right now. Just, anyway. There's a little book over here over my shoulder, and that was my second book I wrote, and I had a heck of a time formatting that thing. And it was just, I don't know if you've ever tried to put page numbers in Microsoft Word starting on the 7th page and you want that to be page 1. It's just I don't know why. It's got to be difficult. But anyway, I went to Fiverr, found a guy. The whole thing cost me $35 or something. He formatted it for me, put some nice little things in there that I didn't ask for. I don't need to have that guy hanging around here all day long. I just needed him that one time. So that's when outsourcing is great. But back to the AI. Tell us how you can use AI, or as I say in the South, AI. How you can use that for scaling your business.
Go through the protocol first. The protocol in business is learn, do, delegate, automate. And it's literally goes in that line. So I'm sort of a big believer in this. You should first learn it. So if you don't know accounting, learn accounting. then do the accounting in your QuickBooks, FreshBooks, whatever you're working with, then delegate it to Fiverr, Upwork. I've delegated financial or accounting information or processes to, and I've used Upwork and Fiverr. Okay. And I use US people for those, but it was just a project based. And then automate. Okay. That's the highest level. And right now, I'm predominantly in the hybrid of delegate automate, but I'm moving so much into automate. I got a new computer coming Sunday, but that's a whole nother thing. Just so I can do some codecs, and we're talking about agentic. But let's just talk about the AI. What you just said, I could have put that in the Chat GPT or Claude Code and had that automated in 20 seconds. 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's now. 2 years ago, I could not have done that.
We didn't have
So,
that when I was doing that
right.
book, right?
AI, and especially this year, let alone last year. So last year was LLMs, large language models. It pretty much, you have a chat bot and you're asking questions and you're training it to work with you and to give you answers and or directions quicker. Great. Give me a marketing plan for my company, for 2025. 2026 is going all to agents. And agents, the difference is agents think on your behalf. Literally, they're working 24/7, getting better at doing what you want, which is a task, or you wanting an outcome. And so instead of asking the Chat GPT or Claude Code, or not Claude, excuse me, Claude, I want the answer to this, or I want the next steps in this. What you do is you tell them what the outcome you want. I want this. I want this done. I want my accounting done for the next year. Here's access to my QuickBooks. We call them, anyway, APIs. But here's access to my QuickBooks. Here's access to my company. And you check it, but it's working behind the scenes and literally it's automating that. This is the year of the agents. So when you hear agents and automations, that's what's happening in 2026 with a few new things that have come down or really have come to a point where they've gotten some maturity. They're still a little complicated for the layman, but they're very, very close. So that's what I've used AI. I used it every single day. And I'm beginning to use Agentic. I just started Agentic a week ago with Claude Cowork, and then I'll go to Claude Code when my new computer comes in on Sunday.
So let me ask you a question
Yeah.
on just generally rough ballpark numbers. How
Mhm.
much percentage wise would you say less it costs to outsource and use AI compared to just scaling normally? Like if are you saving
Well, most people can't scale
50%,
normally.
100%?
Oh, my goodness, it's much more than that. So I'll just run some numbers. Think about it. So I can have a quote unquote employee, that's a virtual assistant offshore. And I'll just give you a number, $8 an hour. Okay. How much is an employee? Firstly, you usually have to do an employee full time. So you look, what does go 20? That's low. Plus you
Plus
got benefit and
bennies.
burden. Yeah, it's called benefit and burden. Let's throw 30%. So it's $26 an hour full time. So there's 2,080 hours in a year. So you're looking at about $55,000 for that person. I have a person that does the same amount of work, can do it in 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week. And I'm looking at $80 a week times 50, $4,000 versus 56. That's just in the VA. Okay. I have 4 VAs because I have multiple companies. I do multiple things. And then you have individuals, and then you have the AI. AI ChatGPT is 2176. That's what it is. 21. That's my cost per month. 2176. And I have 2 ChatGPTs and I have one Claude. And Claude's like $20 a month. So I spend $60 a month. I mean, literally, I'm just giving you an example. I am a grant writer. I write a grant. I did one grant yesterday in 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Okay, I get paid 4,000, 5,000 for my clients. 30 minutes. I wrote a book. I wrote a 90-page book in less than an hour. It's ready to literally be edited and then published. In less than, it took me 2.5 years to write my first book and $45,000. This one is
It took
literally
me two and a half. It took me 2.5 years to read a book one time.
well, mine's right. I thought it would never get done. 3 ghostwriters, publishing company.
Oh my God,
This one I'll have done in probably about 3,000, 4,000 published.
man. Well, this has been good. I'm hoping our listeners have got something from this. Have learned that you can you don't have to try doing it yourself, and you don't have to spend an arm and a leg. Um, Trying to grow your business. It's not 5 years ago. Well, Ken, any parting words before we close this one out?
Yeah, my parting words is try it. Try it. If you can get a VA for $80 a week, that's what it cost me to go out to dinner with my wife. Easily 80. That's a week's worth of work. Try AI. Sign up for ChatGPT or do the free one and start playing with it. Because again, if not, there are going to be companies that will either underbid you or find the RFPs. I got Chat AI finding me business now.
Nice.
Finding me business. So anyway, I just want to say to people, try something. Try something. And then if you want to connect with me or talk with me, the only thing I put out is my LinkedIn, just LinkedIn, Ken Miller 84. And I respond to everyone. That one, my AI does not do that or my VA. I do LinkedIn.
Great, great. And if anybody's looking for Ken, we'll put his info in the show notes. And if you like this podcast, leave us a good review. If you didn't like this podcast, don't blame yourself. And so have a good week. Go out there, be productive, knock it out of the park, make your business grow a little bit. Use some AI, use a VA, use whatever you can to make your business grow for yourself, and have a great week. That was amazing. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on more useful information to help you and your business succeed. Thanks for listening, and if you like this podcast, leave us a review. And if you really like this podcast, go to the show notes and buy me a coffee. I love coffee. Until next time, stay positive and be productive.